I just recorded 2 games and the audio's all fucked up for some reason. I don't know what happened. So I talked about it and I was really funny and really charming. Trust me, you would have loved it. You would have subscribed. You would have hit the like button. Fuck. All right. I talked about Silent Hill, the short message. During the PlayStation Game Showcase, whatever the fuck it's called. They're like, it's out now. Silent Hill short message. And at first I thought it was a demo to one of their new games, but it's actually a full downloadable game. And I was aware that Silent Hill is trying to have a resurgence. There's like 3 games announced right now. One of them is Silent Hill 2 Remake, which I thought really looked awesome, okay? But I've never played the original. In fact, I don't think I've ever played a Silent Hill game. So when my friend came over and I was talking to him about it, I was like, oh, are you excited? He was like, no, dude, they're ruining it. And I come to find out that like they're making it into basically Resident Evil. You know what I'm saying? Where in Resident Evil, your character's a fucking cop. Like, he's trained for this shit. He knows how to hold a gun and the shit, he's letting them off. But in Silent Hill 2, you're just like a regular dude. He's fucking terrified. He doesn't know how to hold a gun. He's not like a fucking warrior or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So they're changing the character and shit. Like, when you remake a game, you really should keep the original spirit of the fucking game, what it was going for and shit like that. You should just make it in a modern context, but you shouldn't change it. You know what I mean? So I'm still excited to play it, but now I feel like I have to play the original as well. You know what I'm saying? Just to compare it against itself. I'm just curious. So when you start this game, there's a suicide warning, which I respect. You know, it gets into themes of teenage bullying and feelings of invisibility and struggles with guilt and stuff like that. It gets into some like child abuse and stuff like that, okay? And so I respect that it has a suicide warning. But it showed the suicide warning like 4 or 5 times through the game. It seemed excessive. It's like, all right, I'm not going to kill myself right now. Sorry, I don't mean to make light of the situation. It was pretty cool. You know, I keep harping on these games, all you're doing is reading notes, all right? And this game had that, but it also had cutscenes. Hey, you know what I mean? Like, wow. Because I remember saying with Fort Solis, and I'm not trying to call out Fort Solis, that's just the most recent one. But it's like, I remember thinking like, boy, I really wonder what my character thinks of what's going on right now. But this game, you know, you're having cutscenes, your character's reacting to shit. And she's confused and trying to figure stuff out too, because, you know, it's murky, like what's happening. But I wasn't confused, like, what am I supposed to know right now? You know, I was at least on the same page with the fucking protagonist. I've often felt that way in the past, and I didn't feel that way with this one. There's cutscenes, and there was like overdubbed English dialogue on these Japanese actresses, which was kind of goofy, but it was well done. So the mystery is like, you wake up in like the fucking basement of this fucking building. You know what I mean? And you're trying to figure out how you got there and stuff like that. It's kind of like a loop. Like, you can't find your way out of this building, and you're just trying to make sense of what's going on. All right. But this building, it's got like, it's kind of like a local legend, right? Like, a lot of kids go in there and spray paint the walls and graffiti everything. And teens come to this spot to not only like, you know, graffiti and party or whatever, but you know, some of them are jumping off the fucking roof committing suicide, right? This building, they really did a good job of establishing the setting of the game. There's one part that I want to really call out where you're doing like a little loop of this character. She finds like her childhood apartment where she grew up, right? And the cool thing is, like, I don't even think their apartment was in this building, but, you know, it's like fucking trippy that she encounters her childhood apartment, how it used to be, right? And so you go through it a couple times, and the more you're going through it, it's like dishes piled up in the sink, beer bottles all over every fucking flat surface, you know what I mean? There's trash bags in the corner that haven't been taken out. And you're going through these loops, and it's getting worse, and you're hearing in the background just like disembodied voice of her mom criticizing her, neglecting her, abusing her, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And one of the loops through, I noticed to my friend, I was like, yo, is our like eye level different? Like, we're like now the perspective of a child going around the room. So it was kind of cool. It's like subtle in that way. It was kind of scary. And then these story sections cuts between that and like a fucking chase sequence, right? Where you're being chased down these corridors and you're being chased by this demon. It's not like a traditional like fucking monster that you'd see in a game. I think it was just, she was like in like a school dress or something, as I remember. Like it looked like a possessed fucking high schooler or something coming at me. I don't know, it was scary. We screamed at the TV a couple times. there was a sign early on in the game that said don't run, right? And we ignored that. We're like hell, we're not gonna run. We're being chased by a demon. Like, we're like, come on, game, like, keep up with the intake. You know what I mean? Like, don't run. Listen to this fucking guy. I'm pretty sure the game was instructing us to, like, take quiet footsteps and to not alert the demon to your presence. But all it said was don't run, so we didn't put two and two together. Listen, I had an edible. Like, my reading comprehension skills weren't all the way. He started out with the sticks, and eventually he was getting frustrated with how difficult some of the running sections were. So I ended up with the sticks. And sometimes the thing will end up in front of you, right? Like, it turned a corner and you think it's behind you, and all of a sudden it's coming towards you, like, ah! Like, but it's tense, you know, like, it did a pretty good job. It was just frustrating if you had to keep doing it over and over to succeed. That could get frustrating, but it did a good job of being tense. But in the last section, it was more of a long section that we had ever had to do before, and we realized without the game telling us necessarily that we had to find like 5 objects hidden throughout this area while being chased. And it was then that I realized at some point, I was like, I think I could just walk and not alert it to where I am at all times. So that's a pro tip from us, is fucking read what the game tries to tell you. Once I found that last one, I was like, yeah, I better not lose at this point, because I have no idea where these fucking things are. You know, I generally have a good sense of direction, but when I'm being chased or when I'm scared or something like that, that goes out the window. So luckily we didn't have to die and try that again. It was kind of wearing out its welcome at that point. And luckily, like, to its credit, it sort of wrapped up after that. It was a good, like, 2.5 hours long, which is a good length. I really think that's a good length, because I went into the session thinking it was probably gonna be like 4 hours, and like that would start to be a little draining when it's like scary, intense, you're escaping, and like, and the subject matter is fucking just banging your head against the wall, like, oh, this is dismal, you know what I mean? But no, it ended up ending at a good spot, and I liked it. You know, like, thank you for the free downloadable game. You know, I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? It was a pretty cool experience, man. It was a vibe. The music was really good, particularly in the credits. You know, the atmosphere and the music, Silent Hill. Like, I haven't played the series myself, but I know that's always been a really key point of the series. I've ended up in a spot where I'm excited. You know, I want to get into Silent Hill, and it's a series I want to break into, and this is the first game I officially played for Silent Hill, so let's go, let's get it.